This broadcast will start in 15 seconds. This broadcast will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, The Voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
The visual show. My guest, I am so honored to have two amazing guests. One is a concomitant current board member.
Maria Mendez.
Maria Mendez, and also the candidate. And there'll be a candidate is running for district. What is it? 6.
District 6, yes.
District 6. Tell him and
Scott McBrien.
Scott McBrien. Okay. Now, we're going to have a great, amazing information about the two candidates that's running for Stockton USD Board of Trustee. And we're going to get real. They're going to talk about their issue, what not has been overcoming, what they need to jumping some barrier. Maria, can let me talk about tell me why are you running again? What's the motivation?
My motivation, what actually I ran last time, was to motivate and mentor our students that didn't want to go from 8th grade to high school, due to the fact that there are a lot of them that I ran into in the after-school program. They're foster kids, they're homeless as well, and I made it my challenge because I was never a politician, and I'm still not a politician, is to let them know that if you put your mind and you set a goal, that you can meet that. So when I won my election, a lot of those students owed me that they needed to go, and I had because we made a deal that they took for them to continue high school, higher education. A lot of them went into high school, played a couple sports. A lot of other students received 3.79 GPAs. A lot of them graduated already. Some other ones will continue to actually, on this coming year, they're gonna graduate. And the last one will be on 2020. Of those students, the factor that some of the ones that they graduate, they're continue going like to Delta College, they're going to a university, some of the other ones joined the military, and some of the other ones we were able to connect them with the trade partnership, and they sign up for them to actually get a job right away. And as for them, that's our future leaders here in Stockton, California, San Joaquin County. We want them to come back. That was my mentoring. I didn't do my candidacy, or still not doing my candidacy for the money. I was working for the district before, and I was making more money. And now it's only a stipend, but it's not what the result is. It's not the money. It's what we did. What are we doing as a leader for our future leaders here in San Joaquin County?
Oh, great, awesome. Now, Scott, what is your vision on SUSD board? Go ahead.
Well, one of the major reasons I ran is that I'd seen a failure to provide certain items, and I saw some great successes in some areas. I wanted to see the successes grow. Ultimately, I would say that looking at Stockton Unified, we've seen some real improvements in many areas, but we're still struggling with academics and student safety, and really making sure that we're transparent so that people understand what we're doing with our funding, where we're going with our education of students. The use of electronics is becoming a big deal, but what are we doing with curriculum, and how do we support that? Curriculum is changing. We're seeing phenomenal changes. We can print much of our artwork made out of metal into metal printing. we can make three-dimensional objects. We have programs called STEM or STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and mechanics, tying those things together. So now when we look into the future, we're not looking at the next century or the next decade. We're looking at the next year or two. So we see many big changes. I have a 12-year-old daughter. She is seeing those changes. We work with her. My granddaughter lives with us. She is working on the computer technology. We need to know what they're going to be able to do and how they're going to make the changes over the course of the next few years so that they can graduate and get the jobs that they want. And also, I think it's important, my daughter goes to Cole. She has great success there. She started out with an autism background. She was released from that. She no longer qualifies for those needs. But programs of choice are critical. So when we offer curriculum, we need to know that the children, the students, even the higher grade ones, that they want to do that work. Sometimes I watch in the classrooms, and as a resource specialist, special ed teacher, I'll walk into the room, and they're doing work they just don't want to do. And when that happens, they don't value that work. We need to teach the value of the education, and they need to be given choices, and that's a large part of the curriculum that I can support and that I see into the future. So the platform of safety, improved academics, which our academics continue to show that we're declining, we need to make improvements in those areas. And I've had great success in the area of academics through special education. And the other thing is just being transparent with our money. How are we spending our dollars? Sometimes it's very hard to understand, and parents need to know how we're applying that to their children. They need to know that we're applying it properly, and they need to be able to see it in dollars and cents, which is sometimes very difficult for them to do. And I've talked to many board members. Maria, of course, I've begun to talk to, but I've talked to other board members in the past, and I'd say, why did we do this? And sometimes they didn't even know what had happened. And that boggled my mind that a board member would not know some of the curriculum and the dollars spent. I think that needs to be far more transparent.
So let me ask you this, since you brought that up as transparent, are you trying to say that some of the member of the board member itself, do you think the SUC staff that work there are not providing that particular transparency that's needed for the school board to make a better judgment, to call, to be transparent?
I'd say transparency has been an issue for 20 to 30 years, that the inability to really look into the program, to tear down the budget and to understand it is a problem. I have a particular talent in that area. I have a degree in business economics, and then I went to get my degree with a master's degrees in curriculum. But looking back at business economics, I can look at a set of books, and it takes a lot of hard digging just to know where the money is. And then you have to have hard questions. And we're not providing that. And that's been continuous and ongoing for the last 10 years that I know of, in my case, when I started looking. But I think it goes even years further back.
Okay. Now, in the beginning of our topic, we were talking about the LCFF, things like that. And I think this is a very important formula, and people who want to understand what does that mean, and like you said, foster, disadvantage, and what was the other one, Maria, about illiteracy? Oh no, what's the word? My mind went off. There were three things that was.
Would there be special ed in that? Local can control funding.
And there were three items that you don't double dip. Okay, when you talk about
well,
importance,
I think that's LCAP.
Why budgeting cut back, the difference between LCAP and the LCFFC formulating, you know. So when you talk about budget that you're going to have a goal for 3 years, I do believe that last time they, like you just told me, Scott, that they didn't have it for the last what, they didn't have an LCAP this year already?
I didn't say that. What I said is I was not happy with the LCAP process, and I made a specific complaint to the board. I don't know if Maria remembers, but I couldn't believe it. I walked into a cafeteria, and we were between superintendents at the time, so I don't know if they were given an appropriate charge to do the LCAPs well or properly, and all I saw was a bunch of words up on two different boards, and they handed me sticky notes. We didn't hold a conversation. We didn't gather data to say this is what parents see that they want. And then I took that complaint in once, and then I took it back in again. I recently had a bunch of medical work done. I came back in, I walked in with a walker, and I complained a second time, why are we using sticky notes to voice our complaints? And they said, just put a sticky note here and tell us what you want. And I did that not once but twice with the same items. I put my phone number down and I said, please call me. I never received a phone call, and I never received any feedback. To me, that's not parental involvement in what an LCAP should be. And I'm glad Maria's here. She can give you a better idea as to how it is supposed to be done. But I do know that Mr. Deasy got involved, and he put the LCAP, and I might get corrected here. So my understanding is LCAP was given an extension so that it could be further discussed. And Mr. Deasy gave me information basically saying that, as far as I understand it.
Okay, Maria, now...
I'm sorry to put Maria on the spot, but...
put Maria on the spot, but she definitely been on the board and doesn't know, I do believe she knows a lot of what's happening through the change in the process and everything. So, tell me, what he said is true, what he's saying?
Which some of the stuff it is, and I just didn't understand when we have high technology already, that we could have done the surveys on different languages, as we actually have the language department. I did address that as Mr. McBrien came and actually did his complaint as his committee member. You also have brought it up before that time as well, because I just don't understand why we did sticky notes when they actually could have done a better technology portion, like a survey, different in English and Espanol, or a survey with laptops with two different languages in the cafeterias or the locations that we're in. They could have done some other better things, that they actually could have had them fill up other paperwork, an actual card. But with sticky notes, they fly out. They actually will be misplaced. If they get off from the board and they get into the ground, a student will actually, or a child will pick it up and just throw it in the trash or just color on it. And that's why it was a big concern, because we wanted more, better questions, better results from the community, the forums that they took place. Because we, as the board, but I'm actually just speaking on my behalf, that I actually asked for the results, the feedback of what the surveys were taking in the through our website, and there was no results because I never received anything. And I know that there's a frustration from other community members as well, because it's supposed to be also public.
Okay, so you think that the staff itself is withholding information from you guys on the board to make that decision, or not?
Well, some of the staff that are actually appointed to this position, because I've been here for already my 4th year on the board. We had different staff actually working every year on the LCAP. So, and we're not being consistent on that part, because due to the fact, as I've been on the board, we had like 4 different interim or acting superintendentes, then 2 permanents as well. And it's a lot of changes, because when they come in, they do change. As the board is only the manage the superintendente, and we as a board together give them the goals and the priorities of what we need to focus on.
Oh, that's a good answer. Thank you. Let me ask you this question. Maria, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ask the same question with Scott. So now you're running for your 2nd term. What you would like to see improvement, what have not been changed, and what's your goal to let people know what are you gonna do differently that you already seem to have so far that you need an extra help. Hey, we need to taking prioritize. You know what I mean? So go ahead.
I'm focusing in on an equal opportunity. I'm still pushing for accountability, after school programs, because we do need them because of our students are still, their achievement gap is still extremely low. The high technology on all the classrooms, educational training portion, and the trades as well too. Actually, pushing for that. Some of that stuff already had parental involvement was last time, and I'm still pushing for that as well. But I'm making it broader as well because we need the parents to be more involved, understand the why and how, and the how come is so important for their child to attend school and not to be late, the truancy, the absenteeism on board, and because they get behind. Some of this stuff is why we're not connecting with some of these parents. And I know the district, they did a tax for already for the absenteeism portion of it. They went and knocked on 400 doors. They were able to re-enroll about 36 students more. Some of the other ones that have moved out of the area, out of the county, they're attending other schools. About 33 students we lost to charter schools. It's just connecting and following up in the old-fashioned way, knocking on doors, communicating with some of these parents, and bringing resources, one-stop shop for the parents as well, instead of which is our other focuses that I've been working on, and for me that is very prioritized as well, is central enrollment. It's just one-stop shop for the parents, and instead of them going from school to school, and some of them, they don't have transportation, the language barriers, and all of that is gonna be under one roof.
Oh, that's
a good idea.
Really, that's really vital. Let me ask you this question before you go. I go to Scott.
That's good.
What's going on with the teacher and parent association? Because I thought my understanding, teacher and parent association are supposed to have that interaction involvement to have to, like you say, make sure that school, the accountability with their kid, make sure they're at school, make sure that they're doing their homework, and make sure I know I have seen so much improvement in private school. I went to state Luke school and Catholic school, okay? And one of their parents told me that if their student falls behind grade, you know what? The first thing they ask, many of their staff call their parent, that you know what? We're sorry, we're gonna have to let them go. We don't want you to. If you're paying so much money for your kid to educate and they're falling behind, we don't want to spend a lot of money on a private school if your kid is not being able to learn. So that's the accountability for their parent option of educating the kid, whether they want to be educated or don't waste their time with their money. They're in their pocket, and that's how the private school works. They say, okay, the kid's not improving. I'd rather you go take them to the public school and they're not doing their job there. You know what I mean? So I see the difference in accountability. But when I noticed what did the teacher and parent association have they been involved? Are they keeping at the board keeping them accountability for them to make their okay, who did you reach? Who did you talk to the parent? Are they, because they're there for what? I mean, just because they have a position, or they have a position of really concerned about their kid, show concern. So I don't know if that is one of the criteria of their duty.
Well, some of the teachers, I have spoken with a couple of the teachers, and some of the struggles is they do make an appointment with the parents don't show up.
Oh, okay.
That's a big problem.
Parents have changed their phone numbers constantly. when sometimes some of those teachers and the principals in the evenings, they have went and knocked on doors, they are no longer staying at the same location. So it is really vital how we can actually connect with those parents and continue having them there. Some of the school sites, they teachers and the principal and the counselor, they actually have brought the clothes closet instead of sending the student home when they had ripped a piece of clothing. They have backpacks, they have shoes for them, they have jackets, t-shirts, pants, which is the uniform outfits, and there's pouring of donations. But other than that, I mean, the teachers are working extremely hard, the ones that I know and the ones I have connected, and asking the same questions. How else can the district from above can help you? And they're like, well, we have tried our venues ourselves by calling, resetting meetings, sending notes in the backpacks with the students, calling them by phone, leaving them messages on sometimes in their language, but we're not getting no phone calls returned. Some of them, they do have our cell phone numbers. They're able to contact us, but there's still a barrier. We don't know what is missing on that part.
Okay.
Let me.
Okay, hold on. Well, thanks for answering. Now, Scott, what do you think of what I just what?
Yeah, I wanted to go into that because with special ed students, they have a particular need for more parental feedback, and so I would call and double up, sometimes triple up. At times, some of the parents would get upset and aggravated that we're bothering them, and it's hard for us to be successful when the parents don't understand. We're not trying to bother them. We're trying to make sure that the child's needs are being taken care of. And so we'll get negative feedback from the parents because we're bothering them. That's a problem. Then, and that's not always, I'm saying that's an occasional issue. Then we go to the door knocking. Well, I used to always knock on doors 20, 30 years ago in the old days. So I go to the principal and I say, hey, we need to get this paperwork signed. We need to get this student works done. We have an IEP that is not complete. And I would get told I can't do the door knocking as a teacher. Whereas in the old day I could. And I didn't hear Ms. Mendez even talk about somebody doing the door knocking that is a teacher. So they've taken that privilege away from us, and they're doing it in part because they fear something might happen because the communities aren't always safe. We're not there to tick off or hurt or get parents mad at us. We're not there to go get hurt. We're there to make sure that we're looking at the needs of the child. So when I started out, I was trained by a phenomenal teacher. Knock on doors, check in with those parents every month or even twice a month if you need to. So we've lost some of those abilities, and part of it is community safety, which is a big deal, and it's a major part of my agenda as well.
But so are you trying to say that so the people that are complaining that, well, you guys are not giving my child the education that's supposed to have, and they're very, like you're telling me, it's like the parents don't want to be bothered, but yeah, they're complaining that the teacher's not doing the job of helping their students. To me, that's hypocritical. You think?
That can happen. It does happen. I'm not going to say that's the majority of the time, thank goodness, but it does happen almost 1/5, a quarter of the time, where the parent gets an attitude blaming us, and yet we're just trying to reach out and make sure their homework is getting done, that they're showing up to school on time, that they're talking to their child and holding their child accountable. At home, my daughter, I want to know what she's done for her homework. She might get away with it for a day or two, but once I find out she's behind, it's a problem, and we make sure that gets done.
I totally agree that when I came from a mainstream school, I came from special education, and I did a lot of speech, I did a lot of I did a lot of activity. What got me going is a reward. A student with special ed like reward. They get a sticker. They get a little award. Like, hey, you did a good job. You did your work. You did your homework. You have to have some goal for a student to achieve something. You know, it's like a reward. It's like when you have like an employee of the month. You know what I mean? That's a motivation for employee to do their job efficiently. Same thing with the student. You know, you're talking. I remember you're talking about vocational, how you want to put a vocational, put in the curriculum, and have a unit point to do toward the college and get funded or whatever. I remember you talking about that, which is a good idea. But at the same time, with special education, I look at the board. I know that the absentee, especially are lower than the people that are general education. I have many times talked
Yes,
to
that's
people,
true.
and many times I have talked to the teacher, and they always come in. When I ran for school for 2016, I was specialized on special ed. I knew about special ed, and I knew how I felt. And I used to be on the bus 4 hours. I get up at 6 o'clock, and the school don't even start till 9. And in those 3 hours, students get very agitated, and you get a lot of bullies inside in those buses. They constantly fight and bully, and when you come after school, you have to take the school all the way to Newark City or Hayward. You have to go to San Leandro, and I got home around 6 o'clock.
Wow. It's a long time.
Yeah, and I was very tired, and at the same time, I had to do my homework, after school. So basically, I understand the empathy of parenting with special needs, but the thing is, accountability is not there because when they don't show up, you guys don't get paid. The teachers don't get paid for the absentee. When because they based on
the teachers will get paid no matter what. The management, well, not management, the district. Let's get these, because we want to make sure, because you can't blame management, you can't blame teachers. I guess you got to blame them all, but because we're not getting paid. But some of the times it isn't anybody's fault when kids don't show, and you do everything you can. And I tend to think that we've done almost all that we can. And then with a new superintendency, we have an opportunity to make sure that we're following up on all of this so we can even improve more. But going through so many interims and so many changes, I think we've had a problem for about 4 years with turnover. I think Maria might give us more information. She's more on the inside, but just the lack of ongoing support through a single entity. So Mr. Deasy now, or Dr. Deasy, now knowing that he's there, he has given me feedback, and I'm getting the sense and the hope that we're going to see better leadership and clearer expectations, and that will help a bit. We're not talking a lot of money, but I mean 1%. If we could improve ADA 1%, that becomes a fair amount of money.
Right. I totally agree that ADA are a separate fund. Like this year, I believe the Assembly had cut back $300 million on special education.
What?
This year, yes. And so I was one of those forums, and I asked them, how are you going to get that budget back when you're going to cut back $300 million worth of special ed fund? Where's that money going to? Why they're not keeping it? It's really ridiculous. And like you say, if we don't keep ADA, special ed accountable, do the general fund of the school use the special education for that money to subsidize whatever is not unaccountable?
If it's mandated, they have to.
It's mandated.
If it's in the IEP, it's mandated. They have to follow that. There are ways we can cut back on the quality of service. We might have somebody stay longer. We might have more substitutes. Again, I think Maria is very aware of what can be done, but it's not a quality process as well.
Right. So it's more like quantity than in quality, because education
that can happen.
Because like they cut on art, they cut on band. Like I noticed that when I go to the art, they award people with grade for the norm.
Mm-hmm.
But when they go to the special kids that are like I believe they have one football player that had an award to the board. When they went to the board, and that's it. But they don't. But they separate them. They kind of isolate. That's like segregate them. And okay, we have a gifted kid that need to be acknowledged, but they don't show it to the during the public meeting. You know, for me when I was young, I had an award. Getting the superintendent to give me an award for achievement for everything I did. You know, I have like 5 of them. You know, and that made me feel good because I was in front of the board, and the superintendent would give me his name, and I would. That's important. And it's a big honor, you know, and that's something that I would never forget. And just to motivate me and anybody else that education is a vital, important thing for a special educator, whether it's autism, deafness, blindness, all that stuff. They're human too. They want to achieve something. I have worked with people on Department of Rehabilitation. You know, people in wheelchairs, people in blind, and they're working and they have their own family, they have their own kids, but yet they live their life, and they're thankful to have the education that their parents put their trust on them and guide them what teacher that help them, because you know, being in special education, being part of them, they're like family, and you get involved, you miss them, you care, they're good. But as far as the LCFC, when it comes to money budgeting, you have to make a hard choice. Which kind of group of people you're gonna give money to. You really have to say.
Well, no, it's not. The LCFF is actually when the district designates where the student is most qualified for the district to receive the fundings from. It's actually coming from the district. It's not just saying we're just grabbing this money and we're just going to give it to this group of students. No, because it's all. We have to include all of our students, no matter what, because a lot of them, they're low income, disadvantaged, they're English learners. Then we have the minorities, we have the disabled, then we have the foster kids, we have the homeless kids. So in a lot of them, they do qualify for all of us. So the funding is, and the money is actually for all of our students. Okay. For us to give them resources, we cannot leave no student behind, no group behind, of ethnicity or anything else. We have to be inclusive instead of exclusive.
That's
good point. See everybody, the Maria said a good example, stuff really understandable, and I couldn't make any clearer what you just said. That's good. Right now, we're close to the end of our show right now. Maria, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to take your last word before the end of the show, and God, you too, and I'm gonna end the show and everything. Okay.
Well, I'm actually very thankful and honored to be here with Doug, and I want to actually say I'm extremely horrified for him myself. Actually took place via email or text, social media, those threats. Nobody should go through there. We're all human beings. We're not perfect. And Doug, I do love and care about you, and I care about our community and our community members, my stakeholders. I'm here for them. I'm not here to be a politician or make myself rich off of things. I'm doing it for the right things. Because if we don't take care of the funding for this district, the actual state can take over the district, and actually we can start cutting funding. Like Sac City is actually, now they found out 24 more million. I mean, now they're actually 48 million down the hall, and for me, I'm always scared, very careful with the funding, and always asking questions, why and how is it approved by schools I can, especially Title I, because it's very sensitive funding.
Okay, thank you. And Scott, you're next.
Well, I did want to end, or at least make sure that people understand the value of some of the personnel we have. Our assists, they're in the process of negotiations right now, and I know that you've had the help of many wonderful assists, and people who took you through the program, people that did sign language, I would assume, and you know, we could talk much more about the value that they give, but I know as a teacher, as a resource teacher, I can't be thankful enough. And I have gone through many, many assists, trained many, many assists. I rarely found a bad assist. Almost all of them were great. And now I need to know that we're not just giving them a half-day job and not just giving them a partial piece of work. They need to have successful, joyful jobs, and they need to be able to have the opportunity to move up and become teachers or whatever it is they wish to be. But I think the days of a 3-hour assist and sending them home and not giving them sufficient benefits should end, and I think that that's very important. I also want to make sure in the ending of this we talk about safety and making sure that our kids are properly cared for. The assists I'm talking about in special ed, critical. Safety is critical. I got injured on the playground. I'm here after an accident. That's one of the reasons I decided to run. I need to see that we get the help on the playground that we need to see. So we have many wonderful things that can happen in Stockton Unified. We have a board member in Maria that is doing a great job, but we're not always doing everything we needed to do. I'm hopeful that our new superintendent can tie things together. But again, when you see me, you should be able to ask me if I am elected, what we're doing with any of our money, and it should be accountable. I do have a talent at doing this, but we have not done that. And the last thing also, too, with special ed, my son is amazing at fixing things. Yet he had a terrible time in school, and he had the benefit of people who helped him in Native American programs. That's a low disproportionate population, and great difficult reading and writing, but you take a car to him, he'll fix it. He became a senior mechanic, which is the equivalent of a master journeyman in the trades. Wow. So I am really thankful that we have a wonderful trade program. I wish we could better use it and involve them more. And they are tying into technology, getting people the equivalent of a bachelor's degree in the trades, making great livings. The daily rate in the electricians union, after all benefits are considered, $63 an hour for a fully vested journeyman. Wow. And that includes benefits. But there are good jobs out there in the trades, such as that, the pipe fitters, the steam people, many of the trades have wonderful opportunities for us. And I think we need to have some deeper connections with them, especially when we're seeing what's happening with the computers and the interfaces, the graphic interfaces, and the way we can tie those together with technology, art, and the future with what we're needing to do.
Okay, awesome. I would like to thank both of you guys for, I am honored to have both of you with a very educated, well process of what you guys have been doing. I really admire your dedication as well as your compassion and hard work, where you guys both want to make Stockton a better education, make it to improve. Because there's a lot of improvement. I know there's a lot. Everybody talks bad about SUC, but I like to see some good benefit. What's the word I'm looking at? More progress. More beneficial. You know what I mean? So there's more hope, for SUC, not negative all the time. There's a lot of positive things going on. I like that. I think that has to work out too. So thank you. Have a great, everyone. Thank you for watching the video show, the Voice of Stockton.